And we're live. All right, hey guys, Dr. Casey Pride here from the Cone Health Institute in Orange County, California. And I'm excited to bring another guest on. This is actually kind of a last minute addition. He and I were chatting this afternoon a little bit about his work. And I wanted to bring on Dr. Peter Goldman, who's the creator of a really powerful healing arts technique called Zone Technique. And Dr. Pete, I appreciate you coming on so last minute, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. First of all, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And I've actually been working all day. On Sundays, I see patients from 9 to 12. And then on Sundays, I have from 1:30 to 2:30 Pacific, I have a 1-hour webinar for my Zone School members. And then coincidentally, today I had 4 chiropractors from around the country fly in to observe me. So I had chiropractors flying from Minnesota, Vermont, Chicago, and Denver. So it's been a full day, and I was kind of wrapping up and we were chatting and you mentioned the interview and you were like, hey, if you want to do it today, and here we are. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. You're a busy man. So I appreciate you jumping on. And, anytime I have these conversations, my goal here is to give people quality information from a natural health perspective so that they can make better quality decisions for themselves and their families. Because ultimately the person who's responsible for their health is themselves. And so I'm excited to hear what you have to say about your technique. And I would love if you would just start by filling people in on who you are, what your background is.
Okay, so I guess my background is I'm born and raised in New York City. Currently, my office is in Berkeley, California. I grew up in a very unique family in New York City. I don't mean unique in general. I don't know if we were unique, but we were unique in a health perspective, meaning that I think a lot of people who go to chiropractic school, before they get to chiropractic school, they grow up in a very allopathic oriented family. So, they grow up in a family, unless their parents is a chiropractor, but they grow up in a family, that deals with the allopathic model. And then a lot of them go to chiropractic school and they're so happy that they found something that's not about drugs and surgery. And, everything that goes along with the chiropractic ideas. Actually, I had a unique situation. My parents were not chiropractors, but we never went to MDs. My mom was just sharp enough to know not to do that. So we actually had 3 doctors when I was born, really, from when I was a little kid growing up. We had 3 doctors. We had an excellent chiropractor, one of the greatest chiropractors I think who ever lived, luckily for us. We had an excellent homeopath and an excellent naturopath. Those were our doctors. These days I'm all about chiropractic, you might say, but as a kid, being born in that family, those were the 3 doctors we went to: a homeopath, a chiropractor, or a naturopath. Matter of fact, when I was a little kid, I remember me and my sister, if we didn't, we didn't feel well or whatever, my mom would give us homeopathy and rub the reflexology points on our feet and we felt better the next day, and that was it. So that's the kind of family I grew up in. But anyway, as time went on, even though I was exposed to naturopathy and homeopathy and chiropractic, I gravitated toward chiropractic. That was although I loved them all and respected them all, as I became a teenager and young adult, I really liked chiropractic. And that's what I got adjusted frequently, maybe even 2 to 4 times a month. I used to just go get adjusted. I felt fine. I just liked getting adjusted. So I was always very into chiropractic. Anyway, so different things, in my evolution went down. And then I ultimately went to chiropractic school. And I went to Life East in Marietta. I was there from 93 to 97. But I didn't really think of course I got my degree there and I respect the school and everything positive about it. But what I do now, I learned outside of school pretty much 100% or close to 100%. There was a guy named Dr. Thurman Fleet. He was a chiropractor in San Antonio, Texas. He practiced in the 30s, 40s, 50s. I would say he's the greatest chiropractor who ever lived, but even if he wasn't, it doesn't matter. Everyone has their opinion. Someone like Didi or BJ or Gonstead or Thompson, or it doesn't make a difference. Everyone has their heroes and it doesn't matter. But I would say if someone really investigates the results that he got, I would say results-wise, he was the greatest chiropractor ever. But again, it doesn't matter. But anyway, with that said, when he was open for business, just like, hey, today my hours are whatever. The police in San Antonio had to reroute traffic in order to accommodate the people coming to his office. I mean, that should tell you something. He had to move his office 3 times because he kept breaking the fire codes. There was like too many people in his waiting room, and People were, and this is the 30s, people were flying in from all over the world to see him. That was pretty odd in the 30s. I know Gonstead had a landing strip next to his office, but
yeah,
Dr. Fleet, people coming from all over the world to see him, and often people who were very, 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 very ill and had tried homeopathy and naturopathy and acupuncture and medicine and 5 other chiropractors and were still sick. They would come to Dr. Fleet and heal. So anyway, he had certain, you might call them disciples or students or whatever, that he was teaching. One of them was actually my chiropractor from Brooklyn, where I grew up. I said an amazing chiropractor. So I kind of grew up under his care. And then he became my mentor. So he's the reason that I went to chiropractic school. And while I was in school, I was kind of just getting my degree, so to speak, but I was learning from him. Now, what's interesting is while I was in school, about half the faculty were my patients while I was a student, which is incredibly odd. I don't know when that happens, before or since or during. Maybe it did, I don't know. But can you imagine the most prominent faculty members at Life in the mid and early 90s and late 90s were my patients. So I was living in my little off-campus apartment, and it was a knocks on my door at 10 p.m. from the most prominent doctors at our school, getting adjusted by me or asking me advice on healing. Again, just because I was learning stuff that is not taught in any chiropractic school in the world. And they heard about the results. Matter of fact, I call him one of the most prominent docs at our school. When I was in 12th quarter, he was bringing his kids to me. And this is a guy who was really the creme de la creme of my school. And he was bringing his kids to me. I was in 12th quarter. So that should say it all. But anyway, so I learned what's called zone therapy, which was developed in 1931. I had a few different mentors who were all students of Dr. Fleet. And then over the years, I have had many other influences in healing, metaphysics, martial arts, etc. My parents and many other things. And I've taken what I've learned and I've created zone technique, which is a little different than it's different than zone therapy. Dr. Fleet made zone therapy. I mean, he's the greatest. I love him. And I have had other influences in addition to his disciples who taught me, and I created zone technique. Now, what's up with zone school? Why did I make zone school? What is it? Okay. So Dr. Casey, this is what happened. This is kind of how it happened. I've been practicing for a long, I graduated in 97. And I'd even say from 95 to 97 as a student, I already told you I had the faculty coming to me. I was helping people from around the town in Georgia. I think in those 2 years, I did things that most chiropractors won't see in their whole career as far as healing goes. But anyway, I've been doing this for a while. Now, about 3 years ago, I remember I was thinking something, and I'll tell you what I was thinking, and I'll tell you why, when I thought that, I made zone school. So I was thinking this, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, well, right now, roughly 3 years ago, I was like, right now, 9 out of 10 of my patients are coming to me for non-musculoskeletal things. 9 out of 10 people. I don't mean they come for neck pain and then I educate them on wellness or the chiropractic story. I mean, people on the entrance form, when they fill out why they're there, are coming for their thyroid, stomach, gallbladder, pancreas, liver, uterus, ovaries, coming for their circulation, their digestion, their glands. They come with a chief complaint of panic attacks, depression, anxiety, whatever. So, and again, I'm doing all this with my hands, 2 minutes and a flat bench. That's number one. So I knew that the vast majority of people are coming to me for non-musculoskeletal. 2, I knew that many people were coming to me for musculoskeletal who had tried 5, 6, 7 other chiropractors and still had severe musculoskeletal problems and came and got all better. I also knew that people had been flying in to see me, flying from 25 different countries and cities for healing. People flying to me from New York, Chicago, Guam, Hawaii, Japan, Europe, et cetera, et cetera. And I have over 100 patients, and I had and continue to have over 100 patients who drive 4 hours each way for 2 minutes. They're driving 8 hours in a day for 2 minutes. So I'm thinking all this stuff very happily. I'm like, man, look at this. Non-musculoskeletal, amazing results, unparalleled with musculoskeletal, people flying from all over the world, over 100 people driving 8 hours in a day for 2 minutes. It's very gratifying. But then I said to myself, this is what happened, like roughly 3 years ago. Why don't I just teach every chiropractor this? Why should people, for example, I at the time had 12 patients from Malaysia. I'm like, why should there be 12 patients from Malaysia? I should just open an online school, teach this worldwide. Let there be a chiropractor in Malaysia who knows the zone technique. Then they don't have to come to me. So I opened Zone School with that thought in mind. So on that note, now I have this school. It has about 700 chiropractors in it at the moment, on the way to tens of thousands. About 20% of Zone School is the zone technique, which is a technique that I teach, which takes 2 minutes, as I've said already. And about 80% of what's in Zone School are principles of healing taught at the highest level that's not taught in any school that I'm familiar with. Certainly wasn't taught in my school. And I don't think they're taught anywhere else that I'm familiar with. Maybe they are. Okay. So now we have in Zone School, these 700 people. We have some people who've been practicing for 30 years, 40 years. I have about 100 people, not 100, 60 people in Zone School practicing 40 or more years. And they're like, hey, Dr. Pete, I've been practicing 40 years very happily. I love chiropractic. And now the stuff that I was doing seems like kindergarten compared to what I know now. It's 40-year practitioners. Had one come in today, actually, because he lives nearby. He's in Zone School. He's also a patient. We have some of the highest level AK docs, SOT docs, functional medicine docs, chiropractic neurologist docs who are not struggling. And now they're getting results that they formerly couldn't have even fathomed to help that kind of patient with. And we have some people. I have one guy who's coming to mind. I think he's one of the most successful chiropractors in the world, actually, as far as numbers. He's a very, very high volume guy. He's looked up to by a lot of people. He's highly regarded. Very nice guy. He's very modest, cool guy. And he's not going to tell you how great he is, but if you talk to anyone else, he's very revered in the profession. I think he sees about 700 a week. And he's in Zone School, and he wrote me a message. He wrote me I think it was a Facebook Messenger message. And he said, Pete, I've been practicing for 25 years. And he didn't say he sees 700 a week, but I know he does. And he says, I've learned more about healing in 2 months from you online than I've learned in 25 years of practice. So we have all types coming in, upper cervical, network, CBP, Gonstead, Thompson. It doesn't make a difference. Wherever people are at with their healing ability, it will take them to the next level. And I'll just end at least this question answer with this before we get to the next question. Before we got on, we were chatting, and I said something that I want to say now. To me, there's several kinds of chiropractors, as you know. One group of chiropractors, they just do neck and back pain. That's all they do. But that's all they believe they should do. Yep. Maybe they went to some school that implied to them that chiropractic is only for neck and back pain. I don't know. I mean, they must have forgot the founder, D.D. Palmer. He wrote a book called The Chiropractor's Adjuster. I mean, I've read it cover to cover. I think 5% of that book is about neck and back pain. The rest is about the organs. But anyway, somehow in 2020, the profession has gotten to the point where some people just think that chiropractic is for neck and back pain. But here's the point. Even though I don't do what those guys and girls do, I actually respect them because at least they say they do what they do. They say we just do neck and back pain, and that's what they do. Now, there's another group that I'm concerned with, I'm interested in. These are the group that you probably will see at a CalJam or a DE or things like that. And they will say things like, I'm a nervous system doctor. They'll talk about above, down, inside out, the power that made the body heal the body, BJ Palmer, green books, innate. But I've stopped by many of their offices and I've asked people in their waiting room, hey, what are you here for? And 99% of the people are there for neck and back pain. So something is off. If they're going to DE or CalJam and they're psyched up about being a nervous system doctor, but 99% of their patients are there for neck and back pain. Now, with that said, I know it's, a certain amount come long enough. They find out about wellness. That's great. Or if someone, like I told you before, if someone practices for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, I mean, if you adjust enough people, they'll get their miracles here and there. Oh, this patient had this horrible digestive problem. They got adjusted. It went away, of course. But what I'm teaching in Zone School is how to do it day in and day out, consistently. People coming with severe liver problems, gallbladder problems, uterus problems, real chiropractic, balancing their body, and those organs heal 100%. Again, 2 minutes, flat bench, just my hands. And again, I'm a chiropractor. I don't treat disease. I don't diagnose disease. I don't treat symptoms. I balance the body so it can heal. It just happens that it is balancing in a very, very powerful way. And I told you this before we went on, but I'm going to say now. I had a patient come to me. I think it was a year ago. I don't remember. I don't know. I think it was just about a year ago. And her chief complaint, and I mean chief complaint, I mean like on the entrance form she wrote while she's here, was that she was on a list for a liver transplant. Like she was at Stanford Medical Center. She was on a list for a liver transplant. That means her liver was examined. It was very effed up, and she needed a liver. Well, they said she needed a liver transplant, and she was on a list. She came to me saying, hey, she wants to get her liver fixed. Well, guess what it is? We did what we did. We balanced her body. 2 minutes, every visit, 2 minutes each. She went back at some point. They're like, we don't know what happened because this doesn't make sense to us. But nonetheless, your liver's totally healed. You're now off the liver transplant list, and you don't have to come here anymore because your liver's all better. So I would, my idea is to teach as many chiropractors how to do this. And also, by the way, Zone School, and I see you put the thing up. Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Zoneschoolofhealing.com, zoneschoolofhealing.com. And you can enroll, you can watch some videos there, and you can enroll right there. It's money back guarantee. From the day I opened it, I opened this 3 years ago, 100% money back guarantee. Join the school. It's $19.97. It's worth $10,000, but it's $19.97. Join the school. And, a month later, if you're like, wow, I saw Dr. Pete's interview with Dr. Casey. It sounded really good. But now that I'm in the school, I don't like it. Good, get a refund. 100% money back guarantee. We give you back $19.97. If you don't like it, you paid us $19.97. We credit your credit card back $19.97. But in 3 years, out of 700 members, I've given 11 refunds. So it's pretty uncommon, but I just want people to know if you don't love it, you can get a refund. So I think it will be the best decision someone will make in their healing career. They should join today and start learning now. And if they don't like it in a month or whatever it is, get a refund.
Great, man. Well, one question that's coming up in the comments is really, what's the technique? What does a visit look like? What is the analysis that you use here? I mean, I appreciate what you shared. Can you give a little more detail about what the technique looks like and what a visit looks like?
Excellent question. The zone technique is a spinal cord stimulation technique to heal the brain. So the zone technique is not similar to the safety pin cycle idea. The safety pin cycle says, here's the brain, and here's the cord, and here's the nerves going out to the cells. And if there's a subluxation here, the brain signal coming down the cord is going to get interfered with at the subluxation and send the wrong signal to wherever. And then you relieve the subluxation, and now the brain signal can go to wherever it's going properly. Zone technique zone technique is not against that. I mean, that's cool, but that's not what we are looking at. We say, what if the brain is sending out the wrong signal in the first place? What if the brain is unbalanced? Then who cares that you opened up the signal from the brain down to the cells? So there's points on the head. It's not SOT. I'll say again, it's not SOT. It's not SOT. It's not SOT. I get asked all the time. So yeah. SOT has occipital fiber analysis, but it's 7 points across, 3 levels. That's 21 points. The zone technique has 6 points across. They're different points, and they tell completely different things. I love SOT. I respect SOT. We have many SOT docs in zone school who have taken their practice much higher than it was by leaps and bounds, but this is not SOT. Anyway, the points in the back of the head relate to the 6 brain centers that control the 6 systems of the body: glandular, eliminative, nerve, digestive, muscular, and circulatory. And once I feel the back of the head, I'll know which brain center or brain centers are not in harmony with the systems they control. And then there's 4 points in the cord for each of those 6 brain centers. So the brain's the positive pole, the cord is the negative pole, and depending on what part of the positive pole I have to fix, which I know from feeling the back of the head, determines which points of the cord that I stimulate. You want to do it with a hard adjustment, a soft adjustment, an activator, or do it however you want. You might be a super hard adjuster, bang, or you might be like a super little touch, good. Activator, boom. It doesn't make a difference. You stimulate the 4 points of the cord, energy goes up the cord, resets the brain center in question. Now the brain is in harmony with the system it controls. You recheck the head. I'll tell you what to recheck. And you send the patient out with a brain that's actually working.
Okay. So for patients, for people who are hearing what you're saying and they want they want care like this, where can they find a doctor who does this kind of work?
Okay, so when someone joins Zone School, we have about 700 people right now in Zone School,
Mm-hmm.
on the way to tens of thousands. When people join Zone School, you get about 50 hours of me teaching on video, and many of those hours, or some of those hours, are actually live interactive calls, Zoom calls with me weekly for a few weeks with some of your fellow students. After you go through a certain amount of the material, you can get certified. And it's basically me and that person just on a phone call, just to make sure they know what's going on. Once they're certified, we add them to our list of certified practitioners on our website. So anyone who, to answer your question, goes to zoneschoolofhealing.com, and I think on the homepage it says like directory of Zone School practitioners, something like that. You click on it, you put in your zip code, and it will give you all the certified zone practitioners by you, and you can go experience zone technique.
Okay. Yeah. What I love about what you're saying is really it's resetting the body to what it knows how to do, to that sort of that place where that innate intelligence can be expressed properly and the body can reset and heal properly. Dr. Pete, anytime I have a conversation with someone on here, I love to give you the last word. Whatever you think chiropractors need to hear, patients need to hear, whatever you think the world needs to hear from you, you got the floor, buddy.
Here's a simple last word. Results are all that matters in healing. This conversation that Dr. Casey and I are having is not about life. Everyone can have their own philosophy on life, and I'm not commenting on that, nor am I even qualified to comment on that. Some people are religious, some people are atheists, some people like this philosophy, some like that. Some people like to lift weights, some people like to go swimming, some people are vegetarian, some people eat meat. I'm not talking about any of that stuff. That's your philosophy of life. I respect it, and I have no comment on it, because how could I? But in healing, I have a comment. Results are all that counts. Results are all that counts. And the chiropractors, my message to you is never put your healing philosophy in front of a patient's well-being. Now, you might be like, oh, of course not, obviously, but it happens all the time. It happens all the time. You might have a patient who comes in and, they have debilitating migraine headaches and panic attacks. Now, that patient comes to me, within a month or so, they're never going to have a headache again or a panic attack again. Now, I don't treat symptoms. I balance the body. And when I balance the body the way I do with the zones, no more panic attacks, no more headaches. Problem is, to answer, to expand on this, Dr. Casey, when I want to tell chiropractors, some chiropractors are so into their philosophy, they forget they have a suffering human being in front of them. And they'll be like, well, I'm doing upper cervical, nothing against upper cervical, I'm just using it as an example. And my neurocalorimeter scan is clear. So yeah, they might still have migraines, they might still have panic attacks, but that's just how their body's expressing. I've cleared their subluxations, their scan is clear. Who cares? Who cares? This is a suffering human being who needs to heal. And Dr. Casey, I'm sure, God forbid, someone you really cared about, your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your child, your best friend, your cousin, had debilitating headaches. They wanted to kill themselves. They're almost suicidal because their head hurts so much. And they have such bad panic attacks, they can't leave the house. You want to send them to me, because guess what? In a month or so, that's over. Or do you want to send them to someone running the scan going, well, I know it's 3 years later, you're still debilitated, but at least your scan is clear. Now, of course, I'm giving very extreme examples, and I'm not trying to give upper cervical a hard time or anything like that. I'm just using it as an example. But my message is never put your so-called philosophy, not your, but one's so-called philosophy of healing in front of a patient's well-being. The patient's well-being comes first, and that's my message to the chiropractic profession. At the end of the day, hey, chiropractors, you're listening to me, join Zone School immediately. You'll thank me within a couple of weeks, and if I'm wrong, get a refund.
Well, Dr. Pete, I appreciate you coming on, brother, and I appreciate you doing it so last minute. Your technique sounds fascinating, and chiropractors, you can see at the bottom of the screen this whole time, we've had the ticker going where you can see Dr. Pete's website and the website of the Zone School. You can check it out. And if you know a chiropractor, a patient who needs to hear this information, who you think will really benefit from this information, I'd encourage you to share it with them, share it with the chiropractors. Obviously, one thing we need in this profession is more healers, right? We need more healers on this planet, and Zone School is an amazing way to go to learn how to be a great healer. So, Dr. Pete, thank you, sir. And we'll have to do this again, sir. I look forward to chatting again.
Anytime, Dr. Casey. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you.
You got it, brother. All right, guys, have a good rest of your Sunday.